Y'all, this couple story is really insane. So, the woman to the right is Jennifer, and she was 30 years old. She went online discussing her divorce with her husband and how they're in the process and that he was making it easy for her. She also expressed how grateful she was for his help and how cooperative he was. But little did she know this was all a facade and this man had sinister plans. On December 28th, he decided to unalive himself and her. Though they seemed like they had it together, that was not the case. But check out the video and see how eerie it is.
I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though. Like really and truly, like we're working together. Everything's great. We're splitting everything down the middle. Like, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, I'm gonna be on my own, single income right now, and he will be helping with her. He will be supporting her. So essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, with buying a new house and, paying a mortgage and all that stuff. So, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So if you have any tips, saving money, making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, coffee at home, I take caffeine pills, I do my own hair, nails, everything. Like, I do all that. So yeah, if you just have any tips, like, I would really appreciate it, because, like, I'm a little scared right now.
The man I married and the man I divorced are two completely different people. The man I married was the shop window front of everything I thought I needed, and that's what he portrayed, so I fell for it. Not my fault. Not my fault. The narcissist is very, very skilled. With the gaslighting and the manipulation that follows shortly thereafter, you then begin to wonder who the hell you are. Your reality is fiddled with every single day. So, the person you're going to divorce is the person they've always been. And chasing after that high, you're never going to find it again, but you're going to spend a lot of energy trying to say, what's wrong with me? Why don't you love me? It's not about that. It's about how much they control of you, how much they can get out of you. Ladies, when you start to feel like that, it's time to head for the door.
Ladies, I can't stress enough the importance of living quietly. If you're going through the period, however long it takes you, some women, it takes them the first thought of, should I stay, should I go? Considering especially finances, support system, and also depending on how many kids you have, depending on your own finances, how you can support yourself while you're going through the process of separation and divorce. Especially when you start to not feel safe physically. And also not feel safe emotionally. Because some of those men, they might not hit you because it will be obvious, right? The beating is psychological beating, emotional beating is wahala, as they say it. Like, outside, people would see it and view that person or even the relationship in one light. And when you open up to speak about what you have to put up with, what you have to zip up with, how much you gotta take in order to keep that going, you'll be flabbergasted. I stress the importance of making sure when you have the thought, when you start having the thoughts, to start making plans in place, slowly but surely. You don't need to start having fight with that man about, hey, yeah, I'm gonna leave. I know sometimes emotions get out of hand and people might throw things out like, oh, I would divorce you if you It's like you're crying out to be seen. One of our fundamental needs is to be loved and to be seen. And your partner that you're spending your body, spending time, sharing the same bed, a lot of time ends up not being the same bed anymore, right? We all know that. You're roommates. You're just paying the bills together. But you're contemplating. It's like, yeah, this is like not healthy for you or the children, because children see the day-to-day. Don't act like they're not seeing what's going on. You're not talking to each other. You're not sleeping in the same room. You're apart. I remember when we're still in that stage, and my ex used to always be in different quarters, the little ones will ask questions like, but why is he sleeping over there? Why is he not here? I thought married people are supposed to. They ask the questions. And you're not going to like, oh, shut up. What do you know? You're just a kid. No, kids are very intuitive. They know, they see. So they'll act like, oh, yeah, I'm just staying for the kids. You're staying for the kids. But the staying is eating them up. So don't act that way. Gina Chimezi here, favorite Psych nurse practitioner, where on this internet streets, I say in some of the video, make it okay to not be okay. And I talk about all things toxic relationships, red flags, narcissistic relationships. If you're going through should I stay, should I go, you're going through separation, divorce, how to level up, how to safely exit. So this video today is on safe exiting. Jennifer thought that she was with someone. You know, you're with someone, the person you meet, the personification of that person, because they're the representative. They're wearing a mask. So when that mask comes off, people can still be in cognitive dissonance. You're acting. Maybe it's a way for you to cope because of the trauma, the constant exposure of trauma that you're going through. You have to rationalize it somehow in your brain in order for you to be able to cope. So you go into that dissonance where you actually know what's going on. You see it. You observe it. But you comfort your brain by pretending like what you're seeing is not it, and really kind of still honing in onto the person you met initially, maybe the first year or two. But they're not. They've changed. People change. People switch up. A lot of men also do this. Not all men, but there's a man who will. Once they can't get to what their agenda is, because it's all about sex, right? It's all about status. It's all about selfishness. It's all about all my videos, I say this all the time, the 3 S's. So she thought it was going to be amicable because she's still in dissonance about the person who's actually in front of her. The patterns, and that's why I say patterns. You're observing that person's patterns. You're seeing what they're showing up as, and instead of taking it as it is, a lot of us African women, we do this all the time too, because we value marriage so well. We're afraid of divorce, the stigma, the shame, the guilt that comes with it. So we stay there and we suffer, we endure. We might as well change our name to endurance. You know what I mean? So she stayed there until we got unalive. And you're asking me, as I'm blabbing on, you have to plan your exit and plan it safely. Don't announce it. Do it underground, okay? It's for you and it's for your children. Don't listen to those crazy aunts who are going to tell you, oh, yeah, you make the marriage work. You fast, you pray. You have no idea the things that I was doing when I was going through my separation, my divorce. Many of us going through marriage, we don't want divorce. But when you know what's going on behind closed doors, it's more than you are being peppered. You're being peppered, okay? And I'm like, oh, yeah, why are you putting your business out there? It's because I wish somebody has put their business out there. When I was going through my separation, my divorce, I think I made thousands of calls and texts and just trying to figure out, has anybody gone through this? Is anybody, anybody experiencing this? Am I crazy? Like all this name calling and belittling and criticizing, never being able to make concrete decisions regarding ourselves individually in the relationship, mutually, future for the children, budgeting, simple things, the gaslighting, the confusion, the constant confusion, the staying away, the stonewalling, the silent treatment, the catching you at your knees, the putting people on, hyping them, and when it comes to you, the wife, you're just kind of constantly being recalled. The constraints with finance, constantly say, oh, I don't have money. Meanwhile, the money is out there being shipped everywhere else.
That bloke you're divorcing, it's not the man you married.
So I've been offline for a bit. My last video was a bit of a crash out for me. My mental health has not been great. So I had to take some time off, but I wanted to come back on really quick to talk about the Jennifer Sheffield case. She was on my FYP in the beginning of December. She had posted a video about leaving her marriage and how her husband was being supportive and cooperative with her. And she was looking forward to her new life as a single mom. And as a lot of us know, a few weeks after that video was posted, her husband unalived her and himself, leaving their 2 kids with no mother and no father. Besides feeling immense shock and sadness when I read about Jennifer's story, the one thing that really came into my mind is this saying that a lot of people have put into my comments whenever I've talked about the struggles in my marriage and my impending divorce. And that is, the man that you divorce is not the man that you marry. When I first talked to my husband about getting a divorce, I also hoped that this could be something that would be amicable, that my husband would be cooperative and understanding of why I needed to do this. And I realized that I was still looking for my husband to behave how he behaved in the beginning of our marriage, not understanding completely that he's not that man anymore. This has been a slow burn for me, at least. I've been married for 17 years, so it's been a process all throughout these years of my husband changing into this person that I don't even know. He's like a stranger to me now. But when I saw Jennifer's video, I did understand the desire almost that you have for him to somehow just understand and show a last kindness or understanding to you about why you need to do this. But the man that we married is gone. He's gone. That's why we want to be divorced, because that man he's not there anymore. It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible thing to accept, but it is definitely necessary when you are going on this road to divorce and trying to make this huge life change for yourself. I'm realizing that. And that difficulty of accepting that your husband's not the man that you married, it's definitely a process. It's a very painful process, and it can take years for you to get into acceptance of that. It took years for me. I hope people can have some grace and understanding for why women stay in these marriages for as long as they do, and how difficult it is for them to leave, not just because of their physical safety, but just mentally and emotionally, how difficult it is to accept that this person that you loved, you made a family with, you had children with, is now a stranger.
I really appreciate that.
He killed her 18 days later. December 28th, her husband, the same one that she is saying that she's having an amicable divorce from, killed her in a murder-suicide. I know we all want to live in this world where it's like, why can't we split amicably? A man is the most dangerous when you are leaving him. Leaving a man that does not want to be left is dangerous. I don't care if that man has never put his hands on you. I don't care if he still wants the relationship and you do not want the relationship. I want you to approach that situation with caution in mind. And I want to say it was probably still amicable in the beginning on account of he probably thought in his heart of hearts that we're not really going to get a divorce. She's just talking. And once he realized that it's really going to happen, he did what he did, with no care for their daughter in mind, who is now an orphan and has to live with the fact that she's an orphan because her father did what he did. It's not all men, but it's always a man. It's not all men, but it's always a man. When it comes to stories like this, there's just like, what can you say? When you are going through a divorce, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Okay? Y'all stay safe.
I just feel as though they will not let this woman escape this man, even in death, and it's sickening. If you don't know who this is Jennifer Sheffield. Jennifer got on TikTok and made a video talking about how her and her husband were in the process of divorce. And she was essentially going on to talk about how amazing he was being during the whole thing and how everything was going smooth and they were remaining cordial and they were just going to divorce amicably. And she really did in that video sing his praises, talking about how amazing he was being during the divorce. And then her soon-to-be ex-husband proceeded to take her life not too long after she made that TikTok video. So not only was she attempting to leave a marriage that, in my opinion, was very tumultuous and obviously dangerous if she ultimately lost her life at the hands of this man. Not only did she attempt to remain cordial and even continue to speak highly of him in public settings, and not only did that do her no good, and she did ultimately end up losing her life, but then to add insult to injury, when you go to the Facebook pages of some of his family members, you see that they are apparently giving them joint funerals. Joint funerals. And it's like, hey, I can't tell anybody how to grieve, right? But in what world do you think this woman would want to have the final celebration that she will ever have in her entire life, right, be celebrated alongside the man that caused her to not be able to have any more celebrations in life? Like, I couldn't imagine my child being unalived and then the person that unalived them unaliving themselves as well, and me being like, you know what? I think we should bury them together. I think we should have joint services. I just couldn't imagine that. The only rational explanation that I could possibly come up with in my mind was that hopefully they were doing it like for the sake of the children, because very clearly the children are not going to immediately process all that is going on. So instead of them having to go to two separate funerals, let's just do it all in one big shebang. But it just kind of breaks my heart for her, because it just seems as though she was attempting to escape. She was attempting to remain positive, which is why she was asking for advice on like what it's like to be a single mom, because she was going to be a newly single mother. She was just talking about how she was just, kind of excited to get a fresh start in life. And then like she had the man that she was trying to leave kill her. And now after her attempt to escape fails, she doesn't even get to have her own celebration of life. Like, it's almost as if he was able to succeed exactly what he wanted. You don't get to leave me. Even after death, even at your funeral, I'm gonna be there. And it's sick. And I am so sorry, but I have actually had my fill of some of the social media posts that I am seeing be made about him by like his friends or his family, because it's like, read the room. Like, I actually don't care if you went to high school with him and you can't believe that he would do something like this. You haven't known the man since he was 16, 17. You don't know that man at all. I actually don't care if you worked with him every week. Y'all don't know each other past clocking in and clocking out. And it's just like, I'm having an easier time finding posts of people giving condolences to him or talking about how they can't believe he would do something like this than I am being able to find posts saying rest in peace to the poor woman who lost her life, or I'm so sorry to the children who had both of their parents snatched away from them senselessly. And then not only did they have both their parents snatched away from them senselessly, but it was at the hands of their own father. I'm having a hard time finding those posts. I mean, I've seen a couple, but the ones of people, hold on. Like this post is very difficult to follow through. I've known both of them for a very long time, and they were two of the most fun, loving, energetic people to hang with. They love their friends and those babies so much. Prayers to the families and the girls. Rest in peace and fly high. Brandon, Sheffield, and Jennifer. Of course, he goes first. This one hits home a little too hard. Never assume you know the demons everyone is battling inside. He wasn't battling demons. He is the demon. And obviously, he didn't love those babies very much because he took away their father and their mother. People who love their children don't purposely choose to leave their children orphans due to their own petty feelings and emotions. Because at the end of the day, being upset over you and your wife divorcing is a petty emotion. Like, it is like a hard thing. It is heartbreaking to experience, but it is not worth people losing their lives over. People get divorced every single day. People move on, find new loves, get remarried. Thought process of, if I can't have you, no one else will. If you're going to leave me, I'll just take out the both of us, was very clearly more important than the supposed love he had for the children who are now left with nothing. Or like this comment, I understand the frustration. Allow me to share a story about Brandon Sheffield. He and my husband were in MMA and were each other's cornermen and trained together. My husband took a kick to the abdomen from Brandon while they were training. Long story short, it ended my husband's future or any chance at it as his colon had ruptured and he had emergency surgery. Now, during all this, Brandon never left my side. He waited through the surgery, and when he took my husband's truck home, he found my birthday present in his truck and brought it to the hospital room. He wanted to make sure I got what my hubby bought me. He stayed in the room with me and we took turns tending to him. A few months later, Brandon wanted him to go to New Orleans with him, but his surgical wound had been left open to heal and he had a colostomy bag. I was afraid for him to go due to me having to pack his wound and change his dressings. Brandon asked me if I thought him, and he promised to care for him. Oh, of course you can't write a coherent thought out. Brandon asked me if I thought him and promised to care, if he promised to care for him, could he go? He came over and I taught him and off they went. He even called me with each dressing change and let me know all was okay. They were best buddies and Brandon was a gift. I know he loved Jennifer and nobody knows what happened. I was a little taken back by the shared ceremony. That was your common sense taking in. That was your instincts trying to take over, right? I was a little taken back by the shared ceremony of their funeral service, but I have been praying for them both, and God showed me a different understanding. These two, no matter what, would want those babies to see unity and love in the face of trauma and chaos. They live together, and no matter what how it happened, the families are uniting to get through this. I think in light of them dying tragically, it would be a loss not to keep them united. It's easier for me to understand than explain, but I think the families are celebrating the life they had together in the purest form of forgiveness. We all grieve differently, but those two were loved, and I think focusing on forgiveness and the celebration of their life is much healthier. I hope this helps. We all have demons and or skeletons in our closet no matter what. We are all God's children, and forgiveness is key. My husband and I immediately forgave Brandon, and we never regretted it. How easy it must be for you to forgive him when you're still living and breathing and able to be here for your children if you have any. That's real. It's real convenient. Like somebody punching you in the face and me looking at the person who punched you and me being like, oh, I forgive you. It's fine. What? The only person that could forgive him is the person whose life he took. And she unfortunately is not here to do that. So, and it's like, are we not stopping to think that maybe this family and this friend group's very clear inability to acknowledge, or just plain unwillingness to acknowledge, the very clearly wrong things that are happening in front of them, their very clear inability or unwillingness to be honest about the very wrong things that are happening right in front of them? Do you think that maybe could have possibly played a part in things being able to go as far as they did? Like, this is making it hard for, like, regardless of how nice you want, like how much you want to talk about how amazing he was because he brought a birthday present to the hospital, right? This isn't doing anything but leading me to believe that maybe there were some red flags that showed and y'all just prayed about it all the time. Gave it to God, gave it to God, gave it to God, until she gave to God. Like, I know religious, like people who are super, super, super religious like to believe that free will is just inherently a bad thing, right? And while your free will can lead you into temptation, it also gives you the capability of taking things into your own hands when necessary. Sometimes you don't need to give it to God. Sometimes you need to give it to the authorities. Sometimes you need to give it to, I don't know, a professional psychologist, therapist. Sometimes you actually need to give things some real critical thought. You actually don't need to just pray about it and then move on as if nothing's happening. No matter how much good somebody does, that actually doesn't cancel out the bad things that they have done. You don't get to just tally up all your good deeds through life and be like, all right, I think I've finally saved up enough good deeds to justify a murder. I would be so heartbroken if I was Jennifer. I am so heartbroken for Jennifer. You know, maybe they are doing the joint funerals so the kids don't have to go to multiple funerals. I really do hope it's for the sake of the kids at least. But you still need to be honest with those children about what their father did. You don't need to justify it or sugarcoat it or try to polish it up with the gospel. You need to make sure that they know that that is wrong. Else I am highly concerned for the type of men those little girls will grow up and get with one day. But he wasn't a poor, helpless soul that fell victim to his demons. He was a grown man that made a choice.